All right, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to our Nutrition and Fitness Challenge kickoff. First thing is actually a request. So I can see that we've got 11 people watching, of which I think we're one.
Yeah.
But what I can't see is who's on here. So it's one of the limitations of the YouTube stream. I can see how many people are here, but I don't know who. So if you, the chat box may not be obvious, but I think it's right below where you're viewing from, the viewing screen. There might be a name as a comment. All right, Dave, can you, I'm not getting a lot of comments. Dave, can you confirm that you are hearing us loud and clear? Is it, so we're getting some comments that the video keeps buffering. I don't know if that, the reason we're doing it this way is once we end the live stream, I think it'll be instantly available on our YouTube channel and you can go check it out there. Also, John and I both have our cell phones on us, so if you're unable to figure out how to type, Aaron Burke says, everyone hit the settings button and change it to 360. Aaron, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, but I'm thankful you figured it out.
Anybody who's watching, if you have a settings button, change it to 360. You won't have interruptions, or you can back it up by about 10 or 15 seconds and set 360, or back the feed up about 10 seconds, and that should buy your computer a little bit of processing time. All right, we're gonna get started. Thanks for being here, guys. Obviously, it's our first time doing a live stream, and so we're gonna see how it goes. We've already been looking into some better sorts of streaming options. So we have YouTube live stream today because it was the easiest to set up on short. Being closed, we're going to be looking into better ways to reach out to you guys live time. Hey, Abby! Hi, you COVID-19 social distancing, nutrition and fitness challenge. I'm sure you all feel the same way that we do. This is we have a lot planned over the next couple weeks, and really as long as the gym closure continues, to try to keep you guys engaged. And more important, of our health and of our overall fitness is what kind of food are we putting in our body. And that's where this challenge kind of stemmed from. This is our spring nutrition challenge, just moved a little earlier in the season and revamped to include a fitness component. First thing, timing. The challenge starts tomorrow. It's already been a couple days of our gym shut down, so we're going to jump right into it. It's going to start Wednesday, March 18th. It will go for 6 weeks. That puts us ending on Wednesday, April 29th. We found 6 weeks to be kind of the optimal duration for these fitness challenges, nutrition challenges. Most people make it through the first 2 weeks, no problem. Second 2 weeks are challenging. You're going to want to drop out at that 4-week mark, but if you can hang in there for the full 6 weeks, that is when you're really going to see the most of the benefit. We are offering some prizes. The first thing is just that everyone is getting, you know, as you're aware, a free in-body scan. And that's just to kind of declare your commitment to completing this challenge. And at the end of the 6 weeks, if you did in fact complete the challenge, you will get a second in-body scan at the end. And additionally, we're going to pick 2 challenge winners who will get a free month of unlimited membership to the box. And that's going to be based on your performance test and also on your body composition changes as read by the in-body, but also just our observation. We know all of you pretty well. Sometimes the in-body doesn't tell the whole story.
So if we're back in the gym by the time all this stuff breaks. Well, 6 weeks from now, we should be able to replicate it no matter what version of it you do. But yeah, that'll be coming at you tomorrow. We should be putting up the video for that, maybe with a little less dog and children involvement this time. We'll see. No guarantees there. And then, yeah, that takes us into really the meat of this challenge.
Okay. So first thing is, if you plan on taking part in the challenge, make sure you signed up on that spreadsheet. It's directly linked from our post where we talked about this challenge, about those extensively. Page 2 is where people were able to sign up for an in-body scan. I think John and Ricky had 60 people come through for in-body scans in the results in 6 weeks. The in-body is not a requirement. It's a strong recommendation. If you're not going to do an in-body, we would like you at home to at least take your weight and a couple basic measurements. Keep them to yourself. But a front shot and a side shot doesn't have to be anything you intend on sharing. But those are really cool to look back on 6 weeks from now. Our minds have a funny way of playing tricks on us, and we forget where we started.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. You are also going to keep a log of everything you eat for the next 6 weeks. Depending what level you're following, if you're weighing and measuring your food, you're following that macro diet, we want exact grams of what you're eating. If you're focusing on food quality, then we just want to know the types of food you're eating, and the quantity doesn't matter as much. Those logs serve 2 purposes. First is it's a way for you to demonstrate that you complied with the plan for all 6 weeks. More importantly, it gives me and John and Ricky data where 2-3 weeks from now, if you just hit a wall, you're feeling terrible, we can look through that log and see, what have you been eating? Have you been getting any results 3 weeks from now? We can look at that. Maybe you're eating too much of one food group. We're never going to know if we don't have that data in front of us. Okay, and the final requirement is that during the period of the gym shutdown, which is currently 2 weeks, and we'll see what the government mandates after that. During the period of the gym shutdown, as long as we are within the 6 weeks of the workouts that we're doing are obviously very lightweight, mostly body weight. So normally we recommend
Not doing something.
Absolutely. We've already gotten some neighbors to turn their heads and wonder what the heck we're doing. I hope you have too.
Cool.
All right, so let's start talking about nutrition.
Yeah. All right. So we've got this broken down into various steps and phases. So step 1. So that's where things like oatmeal, rice, quinoa, the gluten-free grains can come into play. So step 1 is basically for you. That's the bulk of what you're trying to do. It's fairly simple to follow in theory. It's somewhat difficult in practice because it's hard to break habits if you've been living off of sugar and bread and dairy and things like that.
So the food quality level, and this is your attempt to kind of come back to a better diet. So this plan is for the people who right now, okay, there is some component of each of those meals that maybe was okay, and some component that maybe was not. And removing both gluten and sugar is required for the 6 weeks, in that we know some people have no gluten sensitivity, inflammation and problems in a lot of people. Okay, so if you're focusing on food quality, what we hope is in the morning you're going to have maybe some egg, you're going to have some fruit with that, and ideally every single meal there's some component of a vegetable. So maybe an awesome breakfast would be 2 eggs. Answer it to the full audience. We understand. That's when you should just send us an email and ask for a time to hold a phone call with us. We may not get all the phone calls done before the challenge starts tomorrow, but it's okay if it takes a few days to really get into it, as long as you're kind of making an effort starting tomorrow to move in the right direction.
So this one, for a lot of people that generally tend to eat pretty healthy, this is a pretty sustainable way throughout the week, maybe with some cheat meals thrown in. And we're trying to get rid of those cheat meals during this challenge. But the idea here is you get your plate, you're going to put 1/4 of it with protein, 1/4 of it with some kind of carb, fruit, one of the starches, and then about half with vegetables. And that you can just kind of eyeball that and get a pretty good idea that that's overall a really healthy way of eating. No one's going to look at a plate with some meat and some potatoes and a salad on the side and be like, oh, that's not good for you. This one's pretty intuitive. I'm going to eat 3 or 4, or if you're really trying to pack in some calories, maybe even 5 of these big plates of food a day. So easy, again, in concept, because you can just pair off, hey, I'm going to have some carb, I'm going to have some meat prepped at all times, and I can just pair it together.
Allowed. If you're focusing on food quality, you can have snacks as long as you're choosing them from the allowable parts of the pyramid. When we talk next about macro, you can have snacks as long as you account for them. When you're following the plate method, you're truly eating 3 or 4 meals a day, and you are, making sure you have the 3 components: the protein, the starchier, more calorie dense carb, and a whole lot of vegetables. And so, but that is kind of an exception to the plate method. The plate method, as prescribed, would be just eating your 3 or 4 plates full each day.
So we're going to go into food quantity even further once we get to the macro diet. But with this one, anyone who's followed these before will know that preparation is everything. If you can constantly have 2 forms of carb made up, so you have a rice cooker and make, mash them all up, so you can just scoop mashed sweet potato out. Buy a family pack of chicken thighs, a big thing of ground beef, make burgers, pork tenderloin, right? Just cook up big amounts of meat. Because where this tends to fall apart for either of the food quantity ones is you get to 3 in the afternoon. By far, food prep leading up to these challenges goes a real long way. And you'll even see some of the athletes in the gym will just lay out a huge spread on Sunday so that they're really set for the whole week. That definitely is a key to success, whether you're following the plate method or tracking macros very specifically.
And we're pretty crazy. Not a lot of fresh produce available. Hell, not a lot of frozen produce available. We're certainly hoping and expecting that things will kind of level back out. So understand on your plate, when you have the quarter protein, the quarter calorie dense carb, vitamins and minerals, that's the stuff that keeps you healthy and disease free. I'm not suggesting it's going to ward off the coronavirus, but big picture disease free. We understand if it's a challenge right now to get those fresh fruits and vegetables, do the best you can. They do have, frozen bags of broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. That's great. That'll work. If you can find some, picking up whatever the grocery store happens to have available.
Yeah. So that's going to take us to our third option, which is tracking your macros. And this is definitely the most advanced option because it requires some practice. So if you've never done any of this stuff before, if you've never played around with messing with your eating, you probably don't want to start on this one. The first 2 are definitely a little bit more beginner friendly, and they will all work. All of these are pretty sound. Dial yourself in, and that's where you can come to me a week in and say, hey, John, I feel stuffed or I feel lethargic or whatever, and I can take a look at your numbers, and it becomes an experiment, right? We can say, hey, let's add 30 grams of carb on this day or around your workout or whatever we need to, and we can really dial things in very specifically. The challenge you face with this one is you'll very quickly learn that foods are not just carbohydrate, not just protein, and not just fat. So as you start filling up your day, my big issue was I would fill up my fat by noon. But you take the next couple of days and start to hit 1 or 2 of your macronutrient requirements. So the macronutrients are carb, protein, and fat. So if I know I need to hit 200 grams of protein, and that's part of my macro plan, I'll take the first day and just hit the 200 grams of carb, right? I'll be
protein.
200 grams of protein. I'll hit my 200 grams of protein and not really worry about what my fat and carb look like. I'll track them, but maybe by the end of that, in more than once or twice a day. And then there's everything in between, right? Bacon, you can add in just so much depending on what your macros are. So day 1, I'll hit my protein number. Day 2, I'll hit my carb number. Day 3, I'll hit my fat number, and just kind of start to pay attention to what all happens. And then you can start kind of putting it all together where you're saying, okay, I'm going to play with the numbers enough that I can hit within 5 or so grams of my carb, protein, and fat at the end of the day. And the first few times,
it's going to calculate, I think, a 40-30-30 ratio. So you're getting 40% of your daily calories from carb, getting 30% of your daily calories from protein, and 30% of your daily calories from fat. It's actually not a bad place to start. But if you have never followed the macro diet before and you're just kind of using one of those online calculators or, MyFitnessPal, whatever it may be, I encourage you to email InBody. Gives us an awesome starting point for determining what your daily caloric intake should be. And from that daily caloric intake, we can calculate your macros. And that's because the InBody used your lean muscle mass to calculate your basal metabolic rate, which is essentially the number of calories you burn if you woke up, you did nothing all day, and you went back to bed. That would be your basal metabolic rate. How many calories does your body burn just existing? And it's closely tied to how much muscle is on your body, which is why we're always proponents of putting on more muscle. We can use that basal metabolic rate, and depending what your goal is, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, or eating it, and therefore give you your macros. So nothing wrong with the online calculators, but hey, that's what we're here for. So go ahead and shoot us that email. Now, if you've already followed a macro diet before and you have numbers that you know work for you, go ahead and use them. Also, we have a number of members in the gym who have found success following the Renaissance periodization diet. If you have followed Renaissance periodization templates and you're happy with them and they work for you, as always, you're welcome to use those for our 6-week challenge. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. I haven't seen really any questions come in. Checking my cell phone. So that's the standard spiel. You do have to pick what nutrition level you're going to follow. You sign up for that when you sign up for the challenge. You're going to keep a log. We're not necessarily collecting them at the end, but we'll probably spot check a week. That's what we've done before, a couple days, especially if you are in consideration to win the Gram. And we're going to do the best we can for these next 6 weeks. We talked about, we mentioned it briefly, but I want to just one more time plug the fitness component of this. You have to do at least 4 workouts. You have to post on the blog. Extra credit points if you send us pictures, and if you get other family members or kids or animals to join you. If you are doing other fitness activities besides what we posted, share that too. I love seeing, hey, I did your workout, but I also went for a hike in Mount Misery. Or when your hike up Mount Misery motivates somebody to 2 days later, take their dogs or kids or spouse and go hike Mount Misery. So the posting it to the blog, it's a way of accountability, but also just helping us remember that we're in this together. We don't have the benefit right now of seeing each other every day and giving each other those fist pumps and high fives and hugs at the gym. But by staying active on the blog, hopefully that.
Day challenge starts tomorrow. Get as much of the junk out of your house as you possibly can. Hopefully not by way of just housing it all in the next 8 hours today, and kind of just push that stuff off to the side or save it for when you're done.
All right.
All right.
All right. Just want to end by saying thanks. And this is just another way you can show support and show everybody how much you care about our community, is committing to this challenge and sticking with it for the next